My Africa is a woman, sensitive yet powerful and effective. And I love her like timid children love their bullies, like fingertips love palms when I'm calling a fist to embrace the cold that fashioned a galaxy out of a black hole. And I love her, for she brings the best out of us all.
Do you ever have anxiety?
Yes. Yeah, I have anxiety. I definitely deal with anxiety even just like on a normal day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely when it comes to performing, yeah.
How does it feel? There are people saying anxiety is abstract.
Mm.
It's not like you're fighting like a physical enemy. Anxiety,
Right.
how does it feel like?
Yeah, I would say anxiety is almost like fighting yourself, like your internal demons, I guess you could say. Like for me, mostly it's sometimes just dealing with feeling like an imposter, sometimes like in certain situations not feeling like you have what it takes to be there or have what it takes to accomplish something. So it feels yeah, it feels like it's hard to deal with that sometimes. Hard to deal with not feeling like you belong. For me, that's where it comes from for me most times.
So like, yeah, like I am not this, I'm not qualified or I'm not good enough or
Yeah.
so what do you do to cope up like that? Like what do you tell yourself and say, you know, Toyin, I got this, or do you have a supporting system?
Yeah, I definitely would say having a good support system around you is one way to deal with anxiety. Because for people who don't have a good support system, it can be difficult because then they're only hearing those internal demons and that's all they have. But if you have a good support system around you, it's like, okay, you have those internal demons, but you also have these external factors that make it easier for you to cope. So yeah, definitely that.
Who is your favorite cheerleader?
Oh wow, my mom. My mom, for sure.
So
she's amazing. She's the best.
She thinks you're a genius.
She does. Which is like sometimes hard to keep up with, but yeah, she thinks I'm like the best thing.
Well, actually from a few poems I've heard, you're really good.
Thank you.
Like, and okay, I've seen people writing it. I think it's the easiest part of poetry. What's the hardest part of performing poetry? Is it memorizing lines or?
Okay. Well, memorizing lines is not that hard for me because really it just takes like going over it and like if you wrote it, it's easier.
Kinda.
But I think the hardest part would be like you were saying, trying to get people to feel what you're saying, because I can feel like I'm saying it the best way I can, but I sometimes might not feel like the audience is getting it, or just like we're talking about with internal demons, like not letting those internal demons make you feel like people are not getting it. It's probably the hardest part, overcoming that.
What would you say is the main subject you talk about in your poem?
Well, when I used to write poetry a lot, it was probably, I don't know, maybe like women's issues and like first part. I would like a lot of times whenever I'm writing poetry, I find myself always wanting to tie things back to like women, even just like using metaphors. It happens a lot, and I try not to do that, but it definitely happens a lot. So I guess my main like topic would be women, but not necessarily talking about women only, but like using them as metaphors, and yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah, there's a theme. Also, it's a theme I've seen around like your friends, your close friends. Something about feminism. Like,
Right.
Even the way you guys dress, or it looks like you're communicating something. Have you guys experienced these struggles as women, or you've seen that and then you're trying to actually find a solution?
I definitely think that that stems from me always wanting to write that, incorporate that in my poetry. Definitely stems from like people around me, like we were saying, like experiencing like the struggles that we go through and just witnessing the struggles that other women go through. It definitely has an influence on me, even when I don't think it does. Even when I should be writing about something else, I always find myself somehow coming back to that. So yeah, and like my poetry, I guess I'm trying somehow to write out a solution somehow. Don't know that it always works, but yeah.
It's kind of unconscious, but it's like it's calling you. So by the time you're writing, it's like, hey, say this.
Right.
Say this.
Yeah.
Would you say you create poetry or poetry found you?
Poetry found me. Definitely, because I wasn't necessarily, I didn't grow up around poetry necessarily or grow up with poets or anything like that. It was just someday in high school, somebody came to the school that I was in and was looking for people to write poetry and short articles, and my teacher assigned me and a couple other people because she thought we would be able to do it, and I didn't think so, but I ended up writing for that assignment, and I guess that was like how it found me. So yeah.
Wow, I can write.
Yeah. that was pretty much exactly what I said.
How was the feeling? It's like you discovered a superpower you didn't know you had.
It was an important moment for me, just like discovering something new about myself and like something that I could actually do, and like if I really wanted to, I could put my all into that and make it something. So that was good for me. But I don't know. I guess I let it get away from me recently, which is sad. But yeah.
How is the creative process? How does it look like?
Well, for me, my creative process typically starts like months before. Like I don't know if other poets do this, but oftentimes I'll find myself writing lines like throughout just regular days, like lines that just come to me. I'll have them in my phone, and then eventually, if I have like an assignment or if I have like just, I guess, a reason to write something, then I find myself like bringing these lines together and like somehow incorporating them into a poem. So that happens to me like just on a regular day. Like even when I'm not actively writing, it would just like I'll have like a line come to me just like in conversation, and I'll put it in my phone, and then when it's time, I'm like, okay, let me look at what I've been thinking and let me think of what I actually have to write about, and then I bring those together, and that's how my creative process really is.
How would you describe the way words feel to you? When you hear words,
Right.
do you think they have a different meaning to regular people who are not poets? Like when you say a line, yes. How
okay. I think yes. Yeah, because some people, like just a metaphor, for example, sometimes people just don't get it. But for someone who's, I guess, poetically inclined, it's like, okay, there's something deeper here. There's more to this that I could unfold and bring something out of. So yeah, definitely.
Are you familiar with a book called 5 Love Languages?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I had to think about that. Yeah.
So there's a word of affirmation. Would it be surprising for a poet to have word of affirmation as their love language? What is your love language?
Oh wow! I took the test online. I just don't remember the thing. I think words of affirmation was one. Is it touch or something?
There's touch.
Yeah.
There is acts of service.
Yes. I think, how many can we have?
And quality time.
Quality time.
You can have,
as many.
all 5, just matter of percentage.
Right. I think my biggest one was quality time, but I think second was the words of affirmation. So that could have something to do with me being, I guess, poetically inclined. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the biggest one for people who write poems, just because, like you said, like we were talking about, words have like a deeper meaning oftentimes. So it's like, yeah, the things that our partners say to us have more meaning to us than they probably think. So
yeah. So Toyin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I try to be in the flow of. There's a side of being an artist where I just like things to flow and not having a formula about it. So, what is the part of Toyin that most people be surprised? Something unique about it.
Something you would be surprised about. I think most people are surprised oftentimes when they hear me sing. Like people don't think that I can sing. I don't know. It's weird.
What?
But whenever I like sing, people are surprised.
Sing?
Yeah. I'm not gonna sing right now. Don't ask me to, because I'm not going to. But that's one thing that people find surprising all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but tell me about it. How?
I mean, I just people like don't expect me to be able to sing. I guess. I guess people like naturally just.
You never
I
sing
don't
you
know.
sing.
I mean, I don't sing.
Have you
very
ever
often.
performed before anywhere?
No.
Only in your
Only just like
own space?
I guess that's why. I guess that makes sense why people, because I just do it like randomly, like listening to music, and it's like okay, people are surprised. I guess that makes sense, but yeah.
For a poet, yeah, I don't think you'll be surprised because arts are just
They just come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. You say that you like quality time. Do you think it's part of your creative process? Like on the scale of 1 to 10, how serious is it?
Maybe like an 8.5. Yeah, it's pretty important. It's pretty important to me because I just feel like throughout the day there's so many distractions that quality time is so important. It's so important. Even just like quality time with yourself, I think that's so important. So with a partner, it's even like amplified.
So besides art, what else are you passionate about?
Well, you already know this. I enjoy fashion a lot.
Yes.
Fashion a lot. That's one of my biggest passions is fashion. I didn't mean to rhyme, but yeah, I really enjoyed like just the creative process of being in fashion and I guess the lifestyle, which I mean whenever I say that, people think it's just the superficial parts of that, but just I don't know, waking up knowing that I'm doing something that I'm passionate about is what attracts, it makes it so compelling for me. And just I don't know, just something about fashion, I guess, is attractive to me. Yeah.
It's kind of really okay. Does it bother you when you see someone who's not fashion, who is not coordinated in terms of putting clothes together?
It does. It does all the time. Definitely.
So what do you do? Anyway, guys.
I move on. I don't say anything most of the time, depending on who they are.
What if it was someone close to you?
I would tell them.
And
I would
try
tell
to
them.
fix their money.
Yeah, I would try if I can. Like I would try and help them. Yeah, if they want to be helped, of course. I definitely have had that problem.
Would you date a guy who's not fashion oriented?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I guess hopefully the people I attract would be in line with that,
fashion.
but I don't know. I don't want to say. I don't want to block my blessings, you know. So I don't want to say no, but I don't know.
Because they say we are attracted to people with similar interests, but so I've been fascinated with the concept of, is there such thing as unconditional love? What
do I think?
Yes.
I think it's possible. I think because like I definitely feel like I experienced that with my parents. Like,
of course, your parents.
I mean, yeah, that's
should
why
be expected.
I feel like it is possible for people to manifest that in intimate or romantic relationships because we can cultivate that with our parents, but I don't know why it seems like it's harder to translate that when it comes to romantic relationships. Like, it's possible to carry that over, but I guess we just have to figure out that middle ground in our personal relationships. But yeah, I definitely think unconditional love is something that exists.
What are the tools do you think can empower women to be more assertive, to be more actually empowered? Yes.
I think one thing that a lot of women don't realize is how much power that they have. And I think if women take time to manifest just how much power they have just in being women, I think women will be empowered more in just society as a whole. If women really took the time to think about the things that they have power over when it comes to just in relationships, in the workplace, whatever it is, if they focus on the things that they're capable of rather than what society tells them, I feel like women will have unsurmountable power.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Are there things women can do that men can't do, and vice versa?
I don't think so. I mean, when it comes to biology, I guess there
There's a
certain
difference.
things, but when it just comes to being a person, I don't see where the divide is really. Like I feel like the divide has definitely been socially constructed, and like it's easier for people to fall into certain categories and think within those certain categories. But if you broaden your perspective and you really think about it, those lines are really blurred when it comes to actually how we live as people.
These days, it's not all every day that we go to war. I mean, or you have to lift something. Like back in days, we had to use force. But today, there's a lot of things we use machines today that almost a woman can do that.
Right. The woman can push a button
Can-
just like that. Yeah.
Guys struggle actually they struggle using more details than women kind of. A woman will tell you a story from the beginning to the end, the details and how it felt and the whole background. What do you think about that?
I think the reason a lot of men find themselves limited when it comes to vocabulary is because they think that communicating and using as many words is something that's strictly feminine. And they feel like whenever they start communicating, whenever they start talking too much, they start leaning more towards that feminine side. And like I said, a lot of these things are socially constructed. So if we really think about it, is it really feminine to use more words to communicate? No, it's not. So yeah, I think if a lot of men like broaden their perspective and see like if you use more words, it doesn't make you any less of a man. If you use more words, if anything, it makes you a better person just because you're better at communicating and people understand you more and there's less confusion, then that problem would be less of a factor.
Wow, that's really good. Would it be possible? What if a man said, "Actually, it's just not my thing"?
I don't believe that. I don't know. I just find that so hard to believe because even like with some women, they find it hard to communicate to. I mean, not every woman is gonna fall into a category of being able to tell a story from top to bottom, but I just don't. I feel like it's something you have to cultivate too, just as you're growing up and growing in the world. It's something that people have to cultivate because, I mean, human interaction only works if we actually communicate.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's something that people just have to cultivate.
Exactly, that's how I feel because I don't think people know how important it is to communicate.